Grandma's cleaning hacks are old? Think again. These 30 home remedy hacks beat modern cleaners and no one talks about it. Why actually? You want more of these cleaning hacks that really work? Then subscribe now and don't miss a single one anymore. Rinse aid as beading film in the shower. Grandma knew how to conjure shine without expensive means. After cleaning, she reached for the rinse aid, an unassuming bottle next to the sink. A splash of it mixed with water, and the shower wall got a shimmering film that let the water simply bead off. No lime or veil, only clear surfaces that glittered in the sun. She took a soft cloth, wiped evenly, and nodded satisfied when the drops ran off as if they knew where they belong. Whoever looked closely could understand that here more than routine was at work. It was experience, patience, and this pride when something simply works. A small grip, great effect, quite typical Grandma. Shaving foam against fogged mirrors. Grandma stood in the bathroom, a cloth in one, the shaving foam can in the other hand. No glance at the packaging, she knew exactly what she did. A small dab on the cloth, then she distributed the foam carefully on the mirror. Not thick, only a wafer-thin layer. With a second soft cloth, she polished the surface out until nothing was visible anymore, except clarity. After the shower, one could recognize oneself immediately again in the mirror, without annoying waiting or wiping. The steam glided simply off, as if he had nothing lost there. It was a habit that had proven itself. And the bath stayed tidy, so as Grandma liked it. Clear, functional, thoughtful. Mix WC lime rim gel yourself. The small bottle with citric acid stood always ready, not in the cleaning cabinet, but in the kitchen drawer, right next to the starch. When it became stubborn in the WC under the rim, Grandma stirred her own gel together. A spoon of starch, some warm water, in addition the acid, stirred until it became thick. No recipe, everything by feel. She filled it into an empty sauce bottle and applied it pinpoint. The advantage was clear. The gel stayed stuck, didn't run away. It acted there where it was needed. Half an hour, sometimes also overnight, then briefly brushed, rinsed, done. What should shine may not be rushed. Grandma had no stress, only her method, and that worked. Clean grout with hydrogen peroxide, lime in the grout. Grandma took hydrogen peroxide for that, 3%, nothing else. The bottle came not from the drugstore shelf, but directly from the medicine cabinet. She poured a little into a small spray bottle, sometimes also on a cotton swab, depending on how precisely she wanted to work. Always along the silicone edges, always there where the deposit had set. She let the agent act without controlling it constantly. 10 minutes often sufficed. Afterward, moist wiped after, dry afterward. Done. If something works, one doesn't have to explain it. Grandma knew how to keep permanently clean with little effort. And she knew also that most beautiful lies in the detail, also at the grout between tile and glass. Clean vases with rice. If a narrow vase was cloudy or the neck of a bottle shimmered greenish, Grandma took no tool. She filled a handful of dry rice in addition some warm water, sometimes a splash of vinegar. Then she held the opening closed and shook vigorously. The rice dissolved deposits where no brush came. The sound reminded of a rattle. The result was a clear shine into the last corner. Eggshells went by the way also, finely crushed and with caution used. Afterward was rinsed, dried, put away. Everything without effort, but with system. Grandma had not much, but she made the best of it. And she knew how to make glass shine again without scratching the surface. Always with what was already in the house. Counterpoint to the rice hack. The rice has helped sometimes, but Grandma knew also its limits. If the vase stood long, the edge green and greasy was, she reached for other. She said not much. She checked the deposit with a glance and decided now shaking doesn't suffice. The rice could slip, clump, get stuck. In bottlenecks, it became rather annoyance than help. Then vinegar came into play, or hot water with dish soap, sometimes also both. She knew when simple means act, and when one could save the talk. A method without effect is not repeated with her. Grandma had no interest in experiments, only in solutions that grip. And that one noticed at every work step. Clean oven with dishwasher tab. Grandma placed a ceramic bowl in the warm oven, just still so hot that one could touch it with pot holders. In the bowl, she dissolved a dishwasher tab, let the door closed, and waited. The heat and the steam loosened the dirt. Afterward, she wiped the bottom out, the glass of the door, the corners. Where still something stuck, she mixed from half a tab and a few drops of water a thick paste, applied it with the rag, and let it stand. The crust dissolved as if by itself. She worked concentrated, without detours, with what grips dishwasher tabs were for her no kitchen product, but a possibility to save effort. In the cabinet lay always a stock, not for rinsing, for cleaning. Clean baking sheets with baking soda paste. If the baking sheet was greasy and the edge darkened, Grandma stirred baking soda with a spoon of water. The paste was not allowed to run. It should stick with the rag or a wooden spatula. She distributed the mass into the corners, above all, there where something liked to collect. Then she let the whole in peace, half an hour, sometimes also longer. She had no interest in constantly looking. When she came back, the fat was softened. With a wet sponge, she wiped the sheet off, then dry after. Sometimes she polished it still with a touch of oil, only a touch. Grandma knew when end is. The sheet was clean, ready for the next cake. Polish stainless steel with oil. The cleaning cloth lay already ready. The sink was dry. Grandma reached for the bottle with the oil, placed it next to her, and gave 2 drops on the cloth she set on, drove in long strokes over the surface. Always in one direction, always with calm hand. No pressure, only precision. The matte steel took the oil up, became more even, shimmered finer. The sink looked like new without a drop of special cleaner. Fridge handles, faucet, stove hood, everything got the same shine. It lasted no 5 minutes, and it worked. Grandma would never let herself be blinded by promises on labels. She knew her means. Vegetable oil, a clean cloth, a bit of time. More she didn't need for the shine. Clean chrome with aluminum foil. If flight rust sat on the chair legs or the bike acted dull, Grandma fetched a piece of aluminum foil from the drawer. She crumpled it loosely, moistened it with water, and rubbed over the chromed metal. The rust dissolved. The water discolored lightly. What remained was a surface that reflected again. No paste, no special agent, only the interplay of aluminum, water, and patience. Finally, she took a soft cloth and dried after. If necessary, a drop of oil came in addition, finely distributed with the fingertip. The handlebar gleamed. The frame was blank, as if newly mounted Grandma worked not for the effect. She worked so it stays, also with chrome. Scrub with coffee grounds. The coffee grounds was never trash. Grandma let it dry, sometimes on a saucer next to the stove. If the bottom of the pot was dull or showed burnt edges, she reached exactly there a rag, a bit of water, the coffee grounds in addition, and then circling movements, even and calm. The grains dissolved what had set. It smelled of kitchen, of work, of purposefulness. Afterward was rinsed, wiped, clean, put back. Whoever looked saw the logic behind it. Everything had its place, even the grounds from the can. Grandma was practical and thorough. What worked stayed, even if it was brown and smelled of coffee. Aspirin for textiles. Grandma took 2 aspirin tablets from the box, pressed them between 2 spoons to powder. In a cup, she stirred the white powder with warm water, just so much that a thin solution arose. She soaked a clean cloth with it and laid it on the spot under the shirt collar, yellowish from sweat, framed by many summers. No hurry, that was allowed to lie half an hour, sometimes also longer. Afterward came the shirt into the washing machine, as usual. When it came out, the spot was paler, sometimes disappeared, and if not, she repeated it simply. For Grandma, that was no science. It was experience, often observed, never explained. Aspirin was not only for the head, it was also for the white in the fabric, gall soap against grease stains. In the cabinet lay an unassuming piece of soap, firm, lightly beige, hardly perfumed. Grandma used it targeted. If the collar gleamed, the blouse at the shoulders greasy was, or a grease spot had eaten into the apron, she took the gall soap to hand. She moistened the fabric, rubbed the soap directly over the affected spot, and let it rest. Sometimes a few minutes, sometimes longer. Afterward came the garment into the machine or was washed out by hand. The soap dissolved what other means often didn't manage: skin fat, sweat, roast splashes. Gall soap had nothing to do with chemistry for her. It was simply necessary, and it worked, unassuming, enduring, thorough. For Grandma, that was no question of the brand, but of the effect. Refresh curtains with active oxygen. If the curtains were grayed or the tablecloth smelled of cellar, Grandma knew what to do. She filled the zinc bucket with warm water, gave a spoon of powder in addition, sodium percarbonate, one called it active oxygen. She stirred until everything had dissolved, then she laid the fabrics in. Soft, slowly sinking like in a bath for recovery. Overnight she let them lie. The next day, they came into the washing machine, on a program that she knew, without fragrant substances, without foam mountains. After drying, the fabric was brighter, the smell neutral, nothing obtrusive, nothing perfumed, only clean. Grandma didn't rely on labels. She observed, checked, decided, and if something acted, it stayed in the house. So simple was that. Chalk against grease stains. The fat was fresh, the fabric light. Grandma reacted immediately. From the kitchen drawer, she took a piece of white chalk, rubbed it with consideration over the spot, not coarse, not hectic. Only so much that the powder covered the spot. Then she laid the garment aside. No rubbing, no scrubbing. She let the chalk time. After an hour, she tapped the remnants out, checked with the glance that only she had, and laid the shirt in the laundry. Sometimes the spot disappeared already after the first wash cycle, and if not, she repeated it. For Grandma, chalk was no craft material. It was useful, and it was there, always ready, even if no one in the family knew anymore why she kept it actually. Shaving foam against collar grease. Grandma had the shaving foam not only for the beard. If a shirt collar was greasy, she reached exactly there. The foam came directly from the can on the fabric, white, creamy, odorless. She distributed it with the finger, evenly into the corners of the seam. The dirt didn't dissolve immediately, but it let itself dissolve. A few minutes she let the shirt lie. Afterward, it came into the machine. After washing, the edge was clean, the fabric unharmed. She took only what worked. Shaving foam was mild, effective, and there. Grandma didn't think long. She knew what she did. And the spot disappeared, so self-evident as the shirt lay again in the cabinet, ready for the next day. Clean washing machine with baking soda. Between the wash cycles, the door stood open so nothing stalls. In the meantime, Grandma took care of the corners that one doesn't see but smells if one forgets them. The detergent compartment she took out, laid it in warm water with baking soda, and let it soak. For the rubber, she took a damp cloth, sprinkled some powder on it, and wiped thoroughly through every fold. The drum got a portion of soda directly in, without laundry. She set the program to 60 degrees and let it run. Afterward, smelled nothing. And that was good so. Grandma let everything stand open. The device should be able to dry. For her, a washing machine was no automat, but a part of the household that wants to be cared for, like every other tool, too. Care for refrigerator seal with glycerin. Grandma bent over the fridge door, a soft cloth in the hand. The rubber seal was lightly gray from every day. She took warm water with some dish soap, wiped carefully over every fold, not hasty, but with glance for detail. Then she reached for the small bottle of glycerin. A few drops on a cloth, no more, sufficed. She distributed it thin over the clean rubber, evenly, without pressure. The material gleamed lightly, remained but dry. The door closed again, soft and tight. Glycerin was for her no addition, but part of the care it held tight what had to stay tight. 2-3 times a year, more not. Grandma knew when something must be done, and that it often doesn't need much, only the right moment. Remove green coating environmentally friendly. The coating was green. The broom already stood ready. Grandma swept first the loose dirt away, then she brought a bucket with hot water and baking soda. 2 spoons sufficed. She stirred briefly, took a brush with firm bristles, and dipped it in. The mixture she distributed generously on the stone plates. Afterward, she let it act, long enough so the water could do its work. Subsequently, she scrubbed after, washed with clear water off, and let everything dry. The terrace was bright again. Soft soap she took if wood lay underneath. Vinegar not, that didn't come into her house with natural stone. Grandma relied on what she understood, and on what doesn't land in the groundwater. Clean wood with soft soap. Grandma placed the bucket on the terrace. The water steamed still lightly. A spoon of soft soap came in addition. More was not needed. She stirred once, reached for the scrubber with soft bristles, and distributed the mixture evenly on the wooden planks, always in grain direction, never cross. The wood should remain protected. She worked with feeling, not with force. The dirt dissolved, the soap pulled in, left no film. After a short acting time, she rinsed with the watering can after. The water ran off, the wood breathed up. High pressure didn't come into her yard. The planks should hold, not break open. For Grandma, soft soap was more than a cleaning agent. It was part of the house, reliable, time-tested, and always in stock. Clean plastic furniture with soap and baking soda. The white plastic chairs stood the whole winter under the canopy. When spring came, Grandma fetched the bucket and the soft soap. 2 spoons on warm water. More was not needed. She dipped the rag in, wiped over backs, seat surfaces, legs. Also the grooves between the bars she didn't leave out. If a spot didn't go away, she stirred a paste from baking soda and water, stroked it on, and let it dry on. Afterward, with a damp cloth take off, the furniture stood again there, clean, without shine, but cared for. Grandma liked it when things kept their condition. Soap solution and baking soda were for her not old-fashioned. They were reliable, and that was important to her. Clean polyrattan gently. Grandma fetched the garden set from the shed, tapped the dust off, and filled a bucket with warm water. Soft soap came in, more not. She reached for the soft brush and began to clean the polyrattan weave with it, carefully, track for track, always along the structure. In the spaces, the dirt collected, pollen, old leaves that had remained hanging over winter. The soap solution dissolved what wanted to stick without roughing the material. Afterward, she rinsed with clear water after, let everything dry in the air. In the shade, the weave remained intact, the surface unharmed. For Grandma, care was part of the use. Whoever owns something takes care that it lasts long. Dissolve lime on clay pots with vinegar water. The lime came with the watering, and Grandma knew that. The white edges on the clay pots didn't disturb her immediately, but she didn't let them stand too long. She fetched the pot, tapped the soil out, wiped it dry. In a bucket, she mixed warm water with a decent shot of vinegar. She dipped the pot in, not completely, only up to there where the edge was visible. After half an hour, she reached for the brush. The deposit dissolved. With clear water, she rinsed after. Then she let it drip off, at a shady place, not on the pavement, not in the sun. The next seedling already waited, and the pot was ready. Dissolve candle wax from fabric. The wax had become hard. Grandma scraped carefully the upper edge off, not everything, only what detached without effort. Then she laid kitchen paper on the spot, a second underneath if the fabric was thin. The iron stood ready, dry, medium heat. She set it on the paper, not too long, only a few seconds. The wax melted, was absorbed, disappeared in the paper. She lifted it, changed it, set the iron again, always so long until nothing more came through. Afterward came the textile into the laundry for Grandma. That was no damage, but a task, and tasks she solved, step by step. And in the end, the fabric was clean again. Gently dissolve wax from wood. Grandma waited until the wax was firm. She fetched a spoon from the drawer, no sharp one, only the edge. With that, she lifted carefully most from the wood off, not press, not lever, simply guide. What remained, she warmed with the hairdryer, not hot, only so far that it became soft. Then she laid a piece of kitchen paper on the spot, pressed it on, took it off again. The wax was disappeared in it. She repeated the process until nothing remained back. Afterwards, she wiped with a damp cloth after and let the wood breathe. Sometimes she applied still something oil if it acted matte. Wax was for her no problem. It was a moment, and that let itself dissolve. Clean terrace with potato water. Grandma poured the still warm potato water not away, but filled it into the watering can. With that, she went out on the terrace whose plates were covered gray from winter. The water shimmered cloudy, the starch still visible. She distributed it generously, let it soak in. 20 minutes later came the scrubber into use. No pressure, only even movement. The starch remnants dissolved the fine film that had set on the rough stone. The rain would take over the rest, she said, and went in again. For her, it was self-evident to waste nothing, not the water, not the time, not the effort. And exactly that made the difference. The plates remained clean, completely without chemistry, only with what was anyway there. Clean glass, streak-free with starch. The water in the measuring cup was still warm. The starch dissolved in it almost noiselessly. A spoon sufficed. Then came a good shot of vinegar. In addition, not measured, but by feel. Grandma swirled the bottle a few times before she sprayed the mixture on the window pane. The deposit was from cooking, from dust, from winter. With a cotton cloth, she went over it, in calm tracks. Afterward, a second cloth, completely dry, for the shine. It smelled lightly of vinegar, but that didn't disturb her, for what counted was the result. No agent from the store, no brand name, only an old hand motion, a recipe that had proven itself, and a pane through which one could see clear outside again. Soak oven racks with dishwasher tab. The rack lay in the sink, black from fat, hard as glass. Grandma filled hot water in, gave 2 dishwasher tabs in, and waited until they dissolved. The foam rose slowly. It smelled of lemon. Then she laid the grid in, pressed it under, and let it stand. Overnight. In the morning, the water was cloudy, the surface greasy. She reached for the brush, went once over the bars, and the dirt fell off. Afterward, she rinsed after, dried carefully, and rubbed some oil on the metal, so it doesn't run again. For Grandma, that was no invention. It was experience, grown from trial, error, and the wish that something lasts long. Remove odors from mattresses and carpets with baking soda. Grandma reached for the baking soda when the smell had set. Mattresses, carpets, seat cushions, everything that couldn't be washed simply. She sprinkled the powder dry on the surface, evenly, not too thin. An old flour sieve helped her with that. Then she let it lie. Hours long, sometimes overnight. The powder acted in silence, pulled the moisture, bound the stench. The next day, she took the vacuum, slowly, thoroughly, track for track. Back remained only fabric, clean, dry, and odor-free. No scent that should cover something. Only that what should be, nothing. For her, that was no method, it was self-evident. One has that in the head, because one has learned to look exactly and not to leave the things to themselves. Care for dark wood with tea and oil. The tea water steamed still when Grandma hung the bag in. It had to be black tea, strongly brewed, 10 minutes at least. She let it cool, soaked a soft cloth with it, and drove with it over the dark wood of the chest of drawers, calm movements, always in grain direction. The tea brought the depth of the color back without covering anything. Afterward, she took a second cloth, moistened it with a touch of vegetable oil, and worked it carefully in no shine that blinds, but a matte shimmer, warm and cared for. The dust was disappeared, the wood lived again. Grandma said nothing about it. She did it simply because she knew what acts, and because she never threw away anything that could be saved with a bit of attention. Grandma would have probably ticked off all that now without comment. Main thing, it works. But if you stayed until here, then you know, in all that sticks more than just cleanliness. It's about looking, staying on, continuing. If you liked such practical, down-to-earth home remedies, then subscribe to our channel. We collect further, we try out, we tell what really helps, and perhaps you remember at the next spot, battle Grandma. And one of these 30 means that you now know.